Family, 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 family. What it do, everybody? Good to see y'all again. Got a couple of things I want to share with y'all, things that's been on my mind. I know y'all ain't seen me in a while doing a new video, but there was a reason for that. I mean, earlier last week, a couple of things had arisen, and I said to myself that I was going to take it to the Most High. I was going to take it to our Father, humble myself before Him, and, fast. So I was undecided about what day I was going to fast, but I wasn't going to do another video until I had fasted. And so as I had pondered the thought of all this during the week, last week, I thought it would be best if I fasted on the weekend because I have a physical job and I need my energy working from Monday to Friday. So I decided that I was gonna not do another video until I fasted on the Sabbath, which, sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. So it was a couple of things I needed to take before the Father and, just pray over it and, fast on it and and afterwards, then come back, to say something to y'all's people about what's going on in this world. And of course, next weekend is the Day of Atonement. We're supposed to fast that day anyway, from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday to afflict ourselves because, of the Day of Atonement. So I'll be fasting again next weekend, from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday because it'll be the Day of Atonement. Okay, so now that part is out of the way, family, okay, and then, this guy, Kirk, Charlie Kirk, being assassinated. Family, on the real, something, I didn't know nothing about that guy until I got home from work one day last week, and they was talking about him on the news. And that's when I learned his name and who he was. I still didn't know nothing about him, what kind of figure he was. I didn't know if he's a politician or what. And so when I got back to work the next day, I asked a co-worker of mine, did he know anything about this guy named Charlie Kirk? And he told me a little bit what he knew. And that co-worker of mine, he's like mostly on the Democrat side. He said, well, I don't understand about, I don't believe in going around killing people. But he was happy the guy was, unalived. And so I was just trying to find out a little bit about this guy. So I Googled it. I Googled his name, and it said a little bit about him. And I was like, oh, he's kind of like, promoting that stuff about MAGA and Trump and stuff like that, and talking about our people and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, while he's doing a speech in Utah on a college campus or something, I think, he gets killed, assassinated. You know what I'm saying? But see, family, the reason why I don't know nothing about that guy is because I don't concern myself with the stuff that's in this world that's going on. I'm aware of it, but I don't get involved in it like, it's important to me. No, I mean, because the scripture says, the soldiers of Yah, not verbatim, but it says the soldiers of Yah, we don't concern ourselves with civilian matters. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and then it's like, see, to me, a person like that, even blasphemers who are off into politics and stuff like that, they could be intelligent, college educated with degrees and stuff. But family, if people, like guys like that guy, Charlie Kirk, he might be intelligent, like as far as, he got a degree in something. He went to school. I mean, schools are they just indoctrinate you. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not living your life in Yah, living a life to please Him and trying to get yourself some fruit before you go stand before Him, your whole life is in vain. So a person like Charlie Kirk, his whole life that he lives, he had a lot of followers and stuff in this world because most people in this world don't have nothing up here as far as knowledge about Yah and the things pertaining to Yah. So that man just lived his whole life in vain. He don't have any fruit. And plus, he was knocking Yah's chosen people. Scripture clearly says, family, that as far as these Gentile nations, the most they can do is turn to Yah, follow the ways of Yah by keeping his commandments, and bless his people, the Israelites. Blessed are those who bless Israel, and cursed are those who curse Israel. You know what I'm saying? So people who curse us, they live in their whole life in vain. They're sending themselves to hell. That's what they're doing. So, I don't even really get involved with, civilians and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I ain't know nothing about him. I don't concern myself with stuff in this world and people like him. You know what I'm saying? That time to rule is over. You know what I'm saying? See, the reason why that happened to him is because our Father said in his word in many places, not only just in the 66, but other books, like the Apocrypha, that after we, Israel, finish our punishment of the curses, which we have, our 40 years is over. It said, Yah says in his word, that he was going to, all the curses that were on us, that he put on us, he was going to put all those curses on our enemies and all those who hate us. So when the curses were still on us, we had many of our leaders assassinated. You know what I'm saying? Even if they was talking stuff that was right, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them were still killed. So the curses are not on us anymore. Yah has placed the curses on our enemies and those who hate us. So look what happened to him. And then his people crying and stuff and want everybody to be sympathetic and all that. But the same thing happened to our people. So they're just experiencing what we have been experiencing for centuries. Okay? And so that's what's going on. Yah is flipping the curses off us unto the Gentile nations. That's why they're going through so much. I see stuff about white farmers complaining about, well, Donald Trump, he said that he was going to not come down hard on the white farmers. And, he changed that because he's been controlled by Yah. Yah is putting these things on his heart to do that. You know what I'm saying? They're experiencing the curses. Our people who have farms, when we was under the curses, a lot of their land was taken. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people, look what happened to our people at Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? 1921. All those businesses, schools, they had everything they needed. They didn't need to go outside of Black Wall Street for anything. But look what happened to it. They firebombed it. Over 300 people got killed or something like that. Nobody had to pay repercussions because of it, because we were still under the curses. Now look what's happening to them. Their farmers are losing their property, their lands, you know what I'm saying? And they're crying about it. And it's just not starting to happen to them. We dealt with this stuff for centuries. And they're already losing it. So they might well get used to it, because this is going to last for 1,000 years. That's simply what's going on, family. Yah has taken the curses off us, and he has placed them on those who hate us and those who are considered our enemies. So just let them keep on hating. Keep on hating. And so another thing, family, I want to talk about is that this 3-eye atlas deal. You know what I'm saying? They're saying a whole lot. They just, kicking out a whole lot of rhetoric. They're just talking, But you got to read between the lines, family. Now it's not only 3-eye atlas out there. There's 17 other objects that appeared that are flying around it and in formation with it. And they have been surveilling the whole solar system. Now the universe is so huge, family. If you could take, I'm just going to give out a number, if you could take 40 billion suns the size of our sun, 40 billion suns, and put them together, and this little bitty pebble right here, this would be our solar system. So why would these objects be so concerned about our small solar system when the universe is so huge? Why would they be so concerned about surveilling our solar system? And not only that, they have been analyzing all the planets, everything on Earth as far as, what the militaries of the world have. They've been analyzing, Air Force bases, everything. Population of cities, they have been analyzing everything about this Earth, taking notes. And they can see with the telescopes and with their electronic equipment, which is like primitive compared to what all those objects out there in space, their technology is concerned. Our stuff in this world is centuries behind. And they admit it, you know what I'm saying? And they said that they are gathering information from Earth and our solar system, and they're sending it out to realms where we don't have the technology to go that far. You know what's going on, family? If I was a betting man, which I'm not no more, since I was called to be a part of y'all's family in 1999, I stopped a whole lot of that really stuff that I used to be off to. I used to gamble all the time. Football games, basketball games. Put your money where your mouth is. I don't live like that no more. I'm not a betting man anymore. But if I were a betting man, family, I would bet that what's going on out there in the universe, in space, with 3-Eye Atlas and those other flying objects around it that just appeared and they don't know from where. See, this is preparation. Just like I mentioned before, when our people came out of Egypt, Egyptian bondage with Moses, and they got to the land of Canaan, they was like right there at the door. Canaan is actually not that far from Egypt. They walked, but they was there. And so, Moses picked out an Israelite from each of the 12 tribes. So 12 men were told to go spy out the land of Canaan, you know what I'm saying, and come back with the report. So they scattered out the land of Canaan for 40 days. You know what I'm saying? 40 days. And so they came back to Moses to give him a report. They were scouting out the land because their next move was to go invade it and take it over because it belonged to them. See, the Canaanites had occupied Israelite land while Israelites were in Egyptian captivity. And so this was a curse against your people, if you took lots of land that didn't belong to you. Noah and his sons and his sons' sons made an oath on that. So the Canaanites, they had violated that oath while our ancestors, the Israelites, were in bondage, in Egyptian bondage. So when y'all got them out of Egyptian bondage and led them through the wilderness back to the doorstep of Canaan, to take their own land back from these people who had occupied it while they were locked up. I mean, not locked up, but, in Egyptian bondage. So, y'all know the story. Some of them came back with a bad report, so they didn't get the land back during that time. But after 40 years, the offspring and Caleb and Joshua led that younger generation to take their lands back from the Canaanites. So I'm just saying all that to say, family, they're analyzing our solar system, these beings. And then you got these people who making these videos that I said, what have you, another channel called The Brilliant, The Force. They're making all these videos, and they're referring to these individuals as aliens. See, but we the people of Yah, if you don't know what's going on, I'm about to enlighten you a little bit. That's what they call them, aliens. You see, out of all the videos I've ever watched pertaining to this stuff, none of them have ever mentioned the Most High or Yahushua HaMashiach. They know what's in Scripture. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to give us hope. the people of Yah. All Psalm 83 know that we are the people of Yah. Hitler even said it. The jewels of God are in America. You know what I'm saying? Not only America, we scattered around the world in all nations. You know, and then you got somebody gonna make a comment on one of my videos talking about, oh man, you know, see, he following the breakdowns of the Edomites. You know, the time of Jacob's trouble gotta happen. The mark of the beast gotta come. You know what? The 10 tribes they started suffering in the times of Jacob in 1492 when Cortez and the Spaniards came over here and took our people down. That was when the time of Jacob started for the 10 tribes. The times of Jacob started for Judah and Benjamin was when our people was taken down in Israel in 70 AD. And they got scattered throughout all of Africa. A lot of them got captured and taken, you know, as captives in Europe, you know. But then a lot of them had escaped Roman persecution and when they fled into Africa. Hundreds of thousands of our people. Okay, so time had to pass, but, you know, the 10 tribes had been gotten taken down. You know, so they was already under the curses. But Judah and Benjamin had escaped some of the curses because a lot of them had fled into the continent of Africa. And they migrated toward the western coast, all throughout the land, you know, of Africa. You know, South Africa. Some of them, you know, migrated to Ethiopia and stayed. So we got people all over in every land. And then in 1619, as far as this country, you know, Yah had his wrath against the Israelites. Judah and Benjamin was the ones who were not suffering under the curses. So he caused the Hamites in Africa to take them captive. And then they became, you know, property, and they were sold around the world. And many of Judah and Benjamin were brought over here where the 10 tribes were already suffering under Jacob's trouble. So our people have been suffering under Jacob's trouble already for centuries. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it says in the book of Genesis, chapter 15, you know, that God told Abram, my ancestor, the first Hebrew, that your people will be afflicted in a land 400 years. And after that, that nation I will judge, and we will leave with great substance. So from 1619 to 2019, that was 400 years right there. That was been 6 years ago since the 400-year curse ended. Yah often does things in sequences of numbers. So 7 years from our captivity ending in America will be in 2026. That'll be 7 years. His number of completeness is 7. You know what I'm saying? So now you got all this stuff in the space, surveilling our solar system, analyzing the planets, analyzing everything on Earth about this place. They taking notes. And what my spiritual heart tells me, family, 3-Eye Atlas and those other flying objects up there, they were sent to do that by our Father, Yah. With all that intelligence, see, Scripture says everything you see with your eyes came from the unseen realm. Those things are spirit. They can appear, even the Scripture said, sometimes without knowing it, we entertain angels. They can appear and look just like a human. And you don't even know that that's an angel. They still have that ability to do that. They still walk among us. You know what I'm saying? They have flying objects. Some angels, archangels, they do fly. Then you have other angels full of wisdom that Yah gave them. They have vehicles that they fly. But technology, millennia ahead of the little stuff that they got on Earth. You know what I'm saying? So all that's going on out there, that surveilling of the solar system, everything on Earth, and they taking notes. They surveilling everything about this planet. and they're taking notes. They're not just out there just to be hanging out. You know what I'm saying? But these beings from Yah, these mighty angels and warriors, soldiers of Yah, okay, what they're doing now, they're analyzing our solar system and taking notes about everything in this earth. They're doing it for a reason. Just like our people were told to, Moses was told by Yah to send out the spies to spy Canaan to see what kind of report they brought back, because just if they had a positive report, they was going to invade. Yah was going to take the Canaanites down. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on right now, family. They taking notes. They got the whole solar system and this earth under surveillance. You know what I'm saying? They taking notes about everything, because when they get ready to invade the place, they know what's going on everywhere. What kind of weapons we got, how powerful they are. They got all that undercover. You know what I'm saying? That's intelligent, planning, for warfare. They already, the reason why they haven't let the people leading the earth know who they are is because they know that the people leading the earth is Esau and the Psalm 83 nations. They are the enemies of Yah and the enemies of Yah's people. You know what I'm saying? That's why they won't let them exactly know who they are, because they know they're dealing with their enemies. They're dealing with their enemies, family. They know this. They know Esau and Psalm 83 are in charge of the world right now, and their time is ended. That's why they're up there analyzing and surveilling everything, because they're preparing to invade this place. That's what they're preparing to do, family. It says after your 400 years, you will leave a great substance. Our 400 years ended 6 years ago. You know what I'm saying? All that other stuff, that's what we learned in Sunday churches. You know what I'm saying? And everything else that we learned about who we thought we were, who we thought they were, all lies, all turned out to be lies. And you still got some of our people believing everything they say. You know what I'm saying? They stole our land, our heritage, our identity, our history, claim our ancestors as their own. And you think you can believe what they're saying today? Out of all those videos, you never hear none of them say anything about God, Elohim, Yahuwah. You never hear them even bring him up, because they know he is our power. And they don't want to give us no hope. You know what I'm saying? So there's a distinction going on. There's a lot of people who should be afraid of this. But if you belong to Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach and the Ruach HaKodesh resides in you, and you've been living to please Yah, keeping his commandments, honoring that Sabbath day, you have nothing to fear. They are coming to redeem us, as it was promised in the scriptures, family. That's what's going on up there. You can't expect the people who had their foot on our necks for the last 400 or 500 centuries you can't expect them to tell you everything you want to know about Three-Eye Atlas or anything else that's going on up there. They just gonna make their reports, you know what I'm saying? But they ain't, at the same time, they know not to give the people of Yah no hope. They ain't saying, okay, that's Yahushua HaMashiach, that's Yahuwah getting the soldiers together to invade the earth. They know if they talk like that, that's gonna give Yah's people hope. You know what I'm saying? But as long as they hold out, they don't have to tell me. I already know what time it is, because I have that spirit. You know what I'm saying? I feel it in my spirit. This is exactly what is going on. Am I saying after 40 days of surveilling everything, are they going to invade like Israel was about to do in Canaan back there when our people was out in the wilderness? They don't need that much time. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I ain't going to say I know that, but I know who's doing it. I know who has the power to do all that. Israel, we are the apple of our Father's eye. You think he would actually allow anything to be going on in our solar system to possibly harm us after he's you know, release us from under the curses? You think he'll put us in danger with some beings from another part of the universe? You think he'll let them take us there? Of course not. The Gentiles in Psalm 83 and Esau, they are already in trouble for what they have done to us. This is preparation for our rescue, family. We about to be gathered from these nations and islands, family. That's what time it is. That's what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Now these aircraft, and the reason why they're in disguise like they are, because they know the enemies of Yah are in charge of the world now. So they're in disguise. They can't let them know who they are right now. You know what I'm saying? But eventually they will. Eventually everybody gonna know. Eventually everybody gonna know. You know what I'm saying? And they are far away from all technology on the earth. You know, they're so intelligent. They're so far ahead of mankind. They're far away enough from Earth's technology just to keep everybody pondering and wondering and on edge. But they know exactly what kind of technology we have. They know all of that because they're so far ahead of us. And people saying, you know, you got these people making these videos talking about, oh, these objects, they must have been soaring through the solar system, through interstellar space for millions of years. No, they haven't. You know why they up there now, family? It's because we, in this physical, materialistic realm, we are in time. We're in time zones. We're on a time frame. Everything about this existence, it's a time frame. They're outside of time, yeah? In this heavenly host, they live outside of time. But the reason why they are there is because the times of Gentiles ruling the world has come to an end. And the time that Israel has suffered under the curses has also come to an end. So they can't be up and Israel up at the same time. Either they're going to be up and we're going to be down, or we're going up and they're going to be down. But see, the reason why they're out there, family, is because Yah has allowed them to be the head while we were the tail. And nothing else on this earth, no other people, could take Esau and Psalm 83 down. But their time is up. So the one who's going to take them down is Yah is going to send our Messiah, Yahushua Mashiach, to take them down. That's how they coming down. That's how they coming down, family. He going to have to do it. And at the same time, he redeemed us. And he said he will never, ever cause us to be the tail again. We going to be the head, and they will be the tail. So they're in preparation to come invade this place, family. That's what's getting ready to happen. Yah knows, you know, exactly what time that will be. But my eyes are up. As a matter of fact, before long, I'm going to order me a telescope. I've been thinking about this for years, though. But I've always been fascinated with stuff in the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? I used to have binoculars when I was a kid, 10, 11 years old. For Christmas, you know, Mama, I want some binoculars. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about powerful binoculars, you know. And you can look at stuff normally like it's about a mile away and just bring it right up. That's just fascinating, you know what I'm saying? You know, but a telescope, you're aiming at them stars and them planets, you can actually see the craters and stuff in them. You know, I've always been interested in that stuff. But another thing, family, you know, you see, when you see Psalm 83 killing each other, like this one politician, some politicians got killed in Minnesota a couple months ago or so, and then you just got this guy, Charlie Kirk, getting killed. See, Yah is stirring up the pot where he's causing our enemies to fight each other. But we got to learn how to agree to or disagree, family. You know what I'm saying? And I brought up a couple subjects and posted them on my video. I don't even want to talk about it, but And after I saw some of the comments, I actually had to apologize to our Father, because he says we have to be patient with the feeble-minded. But, I didn't know that, you don't know what kind of people that you're trying to teach. But I had to apologize to him for bringing up certain things and not being as patient with some people like as a man of Yah I'm supposed to be. So that was part of the thing that I was fasting on. I was apologizing that I had been too harsh, and saying things to some people who, kind of feeble. There's nothing to be ashamed of. My youngest son, 21 years old, 22, he has autism. So, a person, you have to be real patient with certain people. So, but I didn't know until, but anyway, that was part of why I was fasting, and a couple other things too about this three-eyed atlas. You know what I'm saying? Father, give me something to say to the people. You know what I'm saying? And then, watching those Gentiles videos, but not so much, hearing what they're saying, but reading between the lines and what they're not saying, that's what's really important. They ain't talking about Yah. They ain't talking about Yahushua Mashiach. They ain't saying nothing about that realm. You know what I'm saying? That's what's really important. That's who has the intelligence and the ability to do stuff like that. And they're only out there because they're in preparation to invade this place. And they have had their reign as being over Yah's people. That has ended. That is over. Mark my word, family. I'm telling you. Why else is they out there? But see, I was about to say earlier, family, that those objects that the angels fly and the soldiers and warriors of Yah, they fly, they've been visiting, I ain't saying to that degree what they're doing now, because they're in preparation to come here. But they have been flying over the earth, because people from ancient times, like the people that, like the Peruvians, like Peru is a country south of Ecuador in South America, and I'm talking about like way back in BC, you can see drawings that they carved in the earth, real large drawings right here. They, them Peruvians carved real large drawings, say like from that end all the way to that end, drawings of beings, of spaceships, So, modern day people, I've watched videos and they was like, why did they do it? Apparently it wasn't for human beings to try to get some satisfaction of looking at such a large carving in the ground, because you can't enjoy or appreciate it just standing up at the height of a regular person. So what they were doing, they was trying to communicate with what they were seeing in the skies. And even the book of Ezekiel talks about, Ezekiel saw objects that flew with wheels and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So these beings from Yah, they have always visited the earth. You know what I'm saying? And then you got some military people say they was in ships and stuff and they seen UFO objects coming out of the sea. And then they just take off in supersonic speed. They don't hear no sonic boom or nothing, because they are spirit. They can manifest themselves to be seen by people, but they are spirit. What three-eyed atlas and those objects up there, they're from the spirit realm. They haven't been traveling no millions of years. No, they out there. They can appear when they want to. They always been out there, but they are spirit. And now it's the time, because the time frame for things going on this earth, there has to be a switch. So, but this is all from Yah. Now they are appearing in the space, allowing people to see them. That's just the beginning. They coming here. That's what they eventually gonna do. But Yah is the one who says when. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm going by, family, is what Genesis chapter 15 says, after 400 years under the curses, after that nation I will judge, and you will come out with great substance. Our 400 years ended in 2019. That was 6 years ago. It's almost 2026. 7 years since the end of the curses. 7 is Yah's number of completeness. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I want to say is as far as all that mark of the beast stuff, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't thinking about stuff like that. You know, that stuff might happen, but when Yah, his word says, when he sends the Son to come back to gather us, he's going to send the angels to gather us from all nations. And of course the islands. And we will be taken, you know, to a place. Okay? And then, you know, the people who ain't a part of that, they going to be dealing with stuff. Whether Yah, Hushamash, slaughter them then, I don't know. Maybe the mark of the beast guy, maybe they going to have to deal with that. But when he comes, which I think he soon will, we're going to be gathered just like scripture said. And we're going to escape all that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not worried about Gentile breakdowns on nothing. You know what I'm saying? They've lied enough to us. They've lied enough. But I'm finna get on back in the bullet. And I hope what I have said, you know, was a little educational and understandable to somebody. You know what I'm saying? But I truly feel as a child of Yah, my whole life is trying to live to please him. You know what I'm saying? So I feel in my spirit, you know, and I believe in what his word says, that it is getting close to our time for our Messiah to redeem us, just like our Father's scripture says. Okay? I'm finna get on back to the house and see what else I can study and learn. Okay? But love everybody, okay? One love, my Israelite family. One love to the nation of Israel. Our Father, Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, Yahushua Mashiach, the Ruach HaKodesh, the heavenly hosts, and our ancestors, and all Israelites worldwide. Love each and every last one of you. Okay? Peace. My love. Shalom.